the profits training by Michael is absolutely phenomenal. He takes Woody's slideshow deck and presentation. It's nice, concise. It's about a 50-minute presentation. So it's a great luncheon experience to expose folks to what profits is all about, and an awesome interactive training. We've got the English house tour tomorrow. There's an event in Renata's Team Elevate posted for that. So the live house tour with Ryan Black. We've got a Spanish house tour that he's running again on Thursday in Espanol. And then as always, on Thursday, we have our intro presentation. Now, Dane Clark is going to be doing this inside a Real Deal house tour. It's been really cool. If you haven't been there already, he'll be in a Real Deal and giving an intro presentation and velocity banking. So it's really stacked. We've also added a whole new range of mastermind series. So come plug in. We've got, go to teamelevateusa.com. If somebody could put that in the chat box, it'd be awesome, teamelevateusa.com. And we've got mastermind study groups around multifamily, wholesaling, fix and flip, essentials. It's just going to be an awesome platform where you can come plug in and, you know, just get that sense of community with everybody. You'll find all those events on teamelevateusa.com. And then we'll also have Spanish on Thursday night as well, in the Esenciales. Okay, and then if you haven't already joined the group, the Facebook group, it's Renata's Team Elevate. We've got all sorts of postings up there, announcements, making sure that you're plugged into events and giving a little heads up about what your guests can jump into. So get in there, and then as always, you can find these recordings on the Elevate Renatus YouTube channel. All right, so we're in store for an incredible training today with Mr. Bill Predebon. Bill is just such a fantastic guy. Every time I get to hang around him, most recently on Zoom, I mean, he's just full of energy. I'm sure you all know it. He's just got a passion that is unparalleled by many. But you know, his story isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Back in the day, he was in Vail and an awesome skier. And, you know, he found himself looking though he didn't have much else to do other than his skiing profession. And he was like, I'm not really that employable. I'm a great skier, but, you know, what else am I going to offer back into the world? So he got into businesses and started a franchise, started owning a couple stores. But, you know, one of the key things that we go over here over and over again is the knowledge, right? And that lack of knowledge of really how to run fundamentally run a business cost him everything. And he lost that franchise. But Bill's that type of person. He picked himself back up. In 2007, he heard about real estate investing, got involved. He attempted it on his own though. Again, he just went into it, blazing saddles. And you know, he lost his shirt during the 2008 crash. And so another big blow. You know, most people wouldn't get back up and stand up from that type of a experience, but Bill found Renatus, and for a lot of people, Renatus comes in a time where they're looking for answers, searching for something, and man, has he really taken off. I mean, he's like 8x'd his income, I don't know, 10x'd his income over the years. He's done over 150 deals. He's grossed multiple 7 figures in the business. He leads these teams. He shows up consistently. He's dedicated. He's just an awesome, awesome guy. So I'm really excited to bring him out and learn from Bill today on his training. Bill, welcome and come on out.
Wow, thanks, Guy. That was freaking awesome, bro. I was looking forward to your intro. How cool. Man, thanks so much for jumping in today and you know, taking over the reins. Great job today. Great job doing this. So I just really appreciate that intro. I appreciate all that you're doing. I wish I knew more about what you guys, you know, your role over there, but I know it's big. And I know you've stepped up in just a fantastic way. It's so cool to see that, man. You're having great success and leading people and just working side by side with Huggins and everybody. So it's just awesome. I mean,
yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, man. Good for you, bro. Like every one of us on this call will just eventually we just fall into our I don't know, we fall into our own when it comes to Renatus. It's just a matter of time. So I'm super excited to be here. Of course, I'm going to go find my, there I am. Okay, cool. So awesome. Thanks, Skylar. I appreciate it, brother. And welcome to the Tuesday morning training. I don't know, mastermind training business call thing that we do. I'll let you guys know, now that so I'm pretty excited about this. So I think it was last Thursday or Friday, and Huggins and I started getting on the phone, and I'm telling you, I've said this before, like, whatever you guys are feeling, hopefully you're feeling a little bit newer excitement after the last week or so that we've been working on this. And I have no credit to be taken for any of this, but it's Michael and Skylar and his team and Dane and everybody that's putting this together. But I'm excited for what's coming up, and we all had, I don't know if doubts are the right word, but we were just like, over the last, I guess it was, so what is that, March, so April, May, June, July. So 4 months of doing this. The last 2 have just, they've changed. The number of people, the number of guests, the enthusiasm, the spirit, the camaraderie, the collaboration, and it's not like it's gotten bad. It's not like it's gotten, it's not like it's not exciting or anything like that. It's just changed, right? So we recognize that, and we were recognizing it here. We were recognizing it, Michael and everybody, his team, and all you leaders were recognizing it there. And so we just want to address it, and we want to change it. We want to make it better. So I'm calling it Zoom 2.0 or COVID 2.0. I don't know. And I'm excited. So joining forces and doing these things that we're doing, this new website, Team USA, Team Elevate USA, bringing people together from all across the country, and just trying it differently. I think it's going to bring a lot of power to everybody. I think it's going to revamp everybody. And I want to talk about leads today. I want to talk about back to the basics. I'm not necessarily going to go over like the 4 money-making activities, but I'll incorporate them in general and maybe mention them. But really the true basics of the work. And then Skylar was just mentioning Dane Clark's property tour. So we do in Arizona, in Scottsdale, Renatus, we do 3 property tours a month. Now, we didn't do one last weekend, and we do them on the 1st and 3rd Saturday of the month at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Well, would be Arizona time. So in the winter, it'll be the 10 a.m. your time as well, or mid-mountain time. But and then we usually do one after the Super Saturday. So next month, we'll probably do one after the Super Saturday. You guys end at 1 your time, which is 12 our time, and we'll do it at 2:30. It gives us time to get something to eat and then get to the tour. So out here, depending on what's going on next month or this month, we still might do it. We started doing it half live and half online, or all online, but half people. We were allowing like 20 people to come. We'd separate the chairs, and we did it, and people were able to come to the tour. So at our tour, we do walk the property, right? Video, conversation, show the house, and then we talk about the numbers, right? We run through how we found the deal, how we funded the deal, how we're going to fix the deal, what type of deal it is, if it's buy and hold or fix and flip or whatever it is, or a manufactured home or whatever. All the ins and outs, Q&A throughout, and the entire time we relate the community and the education to the ability to do the deal. And we finalize it. So we've got this whole Renatus thing up on the wall, on the board, or on the whiteboard or whatever. We've got all these classes and all these, different resources that we utilize in Renatus, including tax and legal, entity structure, everything that plays into this deal, making 20 or 30 grand or whatever it ends up being. You don't want to have capital gains. You don't want to, have a large tax liability. And so, you run it in as ordinary income, depending on your entity structure, and all these things we kind of go over. And then finally, as we transition, we finish up with a mini epic, a true epic with pricing, offering, and move them to the next event. So it's pretty cool. So we've been doing that for years out here, 3 times a month. So the cool thing is with this new combined collaborate resources that we're all putting together, doing it together, is that your OES can allow you to be a part of those property tours as well. So I'm excited about, if anybody has any questions, Michael's covered it very well, obviously, you guys, the last 2 months, 2 weeks. You can go back to Facebook Live, watch it watch Money Mondays with Michael, and going over, and Skylar is just an infinite amount of resource for what we're doing, right? The Super Saturday training, but more importantly, registering your guests, getting the team Elevate, clicking on the event, getting the passwords, and signing up for your Thursday nights now that we're the way we're doing it. So if anybody has any questions on that, feel free to just shout them out or type them in, and I can cover them. And then, so the other thing is we have always done, since I started back in 2016 with Scottsdale Renatus, we have incorporated two things: a Monday night team call and a Thursday ICM training. Thursday ICM training for us was 5:30 to 6:30 live, of course, and then we rolled it into a Zoom, and that was a business training only, ICM only. Unless you had a guest on the ropes, there were no guests, and it was an hour-long live training, Q&A. And we'd have a topic, and we'd go through everything, and that was before the meeting. Then we'd break at 6:30, go out and meet the guests, get ready, fix the room, and do our deal, right? And so now we've implemented the Thursday night business training mastermind. So you have that opportunity to actually have a business training instead of a real estate training on Thursday night during the Epic as one of the masterminds that we're doing, or study groups, whatever the heck you want to call it. So that's in there. We've got that going. But Monday night, we still do a team call in Scottsdale. So that's an OES subscription deal. So you can get on that team call as well. That's Monday night. So we just did one last night. And of course, we covered this stuff last night because there's so much transition, so much amplification and awesome enhancements to what we're doing, as you guys are all aware of. So we went over that last night. But we usually do some sort of training, mindset, direct training. We sometimes have some special guests doing 10 or 15 minutes just because they're having some success or something like that. So it's pretty cool. So you guys can plug into that. That's Monday night. It's on the Scottsdale calendar. And that's at 6 PST, 6 o'clock always Arizona time. So it's always going to be 7 o'clock. That one doesn't change. So plug into that. And so those are some cool events that we do that we're all going to be able to, collaborate and come together and combine our resources and our efforts and take advantage of what everybody's doing across this entire Elevate team, so that we can encourage us to get active again and participate. Now listen, there's cool. Wow, 83 of you on the blind. There's hundreds of us out there. So last night I really encouraged my team, if you're missing anybody that you want to love on that you haven't seen in a while, that's not here, look through your phone with your, it's interesting. I always put Renatus first. So like now I have some of my best friends from Renatus that when I look them up in their phone, Renatus is first, because I didn't know them until I met them in Renatus. So they were always Renatus, so I had to look them up that way, right? So if I have like a lender or an investor or a tile guy, it's Tile Guy Jimmy, right? Because I don't know Jimmy's name if I don't remember. Anyway, if you look up your Renatus people in your phone and you're like, oh man, you know what? I haven't seen Billy in a while. I haven't seen him on a Zoom. Reach out to him. Let him know we're doing these enhancements. You guys, we can bring the effort, together. We can do this, make it happen. And these masterminds can be really big, again, and we can really generate some excitement. So that's going to lead me into the training. And remember, any thoughts, comments, questions, you guys shout them the frick out. We're here. Let's rock and roll. And I forgot to do this. 760-533-3141. That is my cell number. Billy Tuttle, I owe you a call today. 760, or I'll text at least. 760-533-3141. That's my cell phone number if anybody wants or needs to reach me. And remember, Skylar, I just texted Skylar this morning from a text yesterday at 10 o'clock or something. So I totally spaced it. And I started typing. I always do that, so I have it on the fresh at the top, and then it got buried. And yesterday was an unexpectedly busy day. Okay, so let's roll into this. I was thinking about this. All of this is great, and you guys know this. I'm feeling it, you guys. I cannot wait. I started working a little bit even more with one of my coaches. OES. Oh, cool. Skylar's got that. And I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to 20 or 25,000 a month in the market. because I'm averaging like 10,000 a month right now, maybe 8, maybe 9,000 a month this year, based on where I'm at. And so what is that? 6 months in, you know, I'm barely, I think, over 50 grand. And for me, you know, it's not good. I was set back, as you guys know, but right on, Frank, it is time to rise. The cool thing about this is any given freaking day that you decide to wake up and make a call, talk to somebody with a new compensation plan. I shouldn't say new. It's just an enhanced value add compensation plan that Bob and the team come up with and implemented. I mean, you can make money. I don't care if you're 0-star or 5-star, right? So so it's cool. Any given day. That's what I love about Renatus. Within a 2-week period, you could have a $10,000 check or whatever your split is in your account with no risk and really no effort. And what I mean by no effort, I mean you go do a fix and flip today. You're like, I'm going to go buy a deal. You're not doing it in 2 weeks. You're not doing a wholesale in 2 weeks. You may wholesale a property in 2 weeks, but it doesn't take 2 weeks to do a wholesale. I was knocking doors 4 nights a week and Saturday mornings, a minimum of 2 hours in the freaking heat for 6 weeks. Finally got a contract and sold it in like 3 days. But it took 6 weeks of hard work and new experience. So anyway, all of these things, and all of you folks, Megan, I love seeing your face. I love seeing you guys. Esther, it's so cool. Estherine and I had a great call yesterday with one of her prospects, Jose. She asked me to get on a Zoom. I've never met her, I don't think. On Zoom, yeah. I don't think we've met in person before. Super cool. Anyway, all of this is great. But, folks, we've got to bring guests, like me included. Now, the ability to work from home and utilize recordings, Facebook Lives, do your own Zooms, isn't always going to be conducive to you putting someone through a Wednesday night, Thursday night system. Systems, in my opinion, are better. Sometimes you have to absolutely go and do it yourself. But, you know, if you're newer or you haven't been doing epics and stuff like that, just utilize the system. Pretend there's no other way, and work it. Work the system. But all of this together, you guys, if we don't have guests in our epics and we don't have guests at our property tours, yeah, it's great to share information with you guys, but we get way more excited doing these things when we have guests, and me included, right? I love doing my epics when I've got my own guests in the room, right? And just as importantly, or just as exciting, is helping my fellow Renatus folks close their business with their guests in the room. Yesterday, I did an hour-and-a-half one-on-one with someone that has nothing to do with me. It was a very interesting conversation, and how it came about. And it ended up being a lead, once I discovered this, of Keely's. He had come to my property tour. I don't remember. I mean, I remember him, but I didn't remember. And until like he reached out to me, and he was talking about investing. So I assumed it was from something else. I didn't think it was from Renatus until I was asking questions. He's like, "Oh, I went to a Renatus event. You know, I met you there." I was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Who invited you?" He's like, "Oh, you know," and I couldn't remember. And then I went through it, and he's like, and we figured out it was Keely. So I had set this appointment, and I just set it a week out, because I knew I'd be busy and I was going to talk to Keely about it. So I had to get back with Keely, and it just turned out that this guy really wanted to meet with me and talk about investing his money. And so I took it upon myself to do a one-on-one with him and go from him trying to pay me to coach him to him actually buying the education and why and how. It took like an hour and a half, and he didn't even buy me lunch. And so, I'm just kidding. But we did meet in person, but kept our distance and, wore a mask in the restaurant and stuff. But anyway, it's all about teamwork, and it's all about abundance mindset, and it's all about whatever we can do. But if we don't have guests in the room, it doesn't make any sense. All right. So enough fluff. 727. So where can we get drop cards? All right, Lorraine. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to show you, I think, because I'm not even that good at it in Helios. Sue G, that's funny. I know, right? I shouldn't say that on this call, so I'm recorded. So it was like a $10 sandwich. Honestly, I got my drop cards in the old business center, and I believe, I'm 99% sure, and Tyler, if you want, or Skylar, if you want to type this in there, or if anybody knows, you can type it in the chat. You may want to get back to the person that in your 5-star. I don't even know where it is in Helios, to be honest with you, because I've not done it in Helios. I did it. You can click the old link for that, and you can get your business cards. I'm assuming you're talking about your BIF cards, your BIF drop cards. They're in the business center under the AMP. And you turn on your website. You may want to call customer service if you can't talk to a 5-star and see where it's at in Helios. I'm guessing it's under a marketing tab. Renata store in Helios, upper right-hand home screen. Amy Hender, you are a savior. So that's where the BIF drop cards are now. They're in the Renata store. Okay, on the real estate side, I will be going into wholesaling real estate after watching Chris Wilson and Hughes' respective classes and starting to look for deals soon. Okay, so this is going to lead me. This is going to lead me into this. Let's spend 30 minutes hitting the books, hitting the streets. So when I started, you guys, and I'm going to go back to my start because I had to think about this. I'm like, I got to think, like, there is no doubt that and I'm not going to use the word easier, but that I am able to reference my own story, my own experiences of doing deals to talk to people about Renatus. Okay. It's not, it's a fact. It's different. It's different than me compared to you who is not 5-star or just getting started, or you started a year ago and you haven't closed a person, whatever, or in between, doesn't matter, right? You've done one deal or you've done whatever. However, when I got 5-star qualified and I made my first $18,000, I didn't do a deal. I was working on a few deals, but I didn't do a deal. Okay. And I know most of you know this, but let's think about it. So I can train on how I introduce people and go through the process. But again, it's not the same, right? Unless I'm with your client and we're doing it together, right? So, there is an absolute understanding that, in fact, I was doing, again, I gotta stop doing this. Maybe I should get some more guests of my own. I was doing a one-on-one from Mike Nelson, who's on Dr. Gary's team, who called me a week ago or 2 weeks ago when I was in California and said, hey, these folks have been to like 4 events. I've seen them on my epics. I've seen them at my property tours. And these two mom and daughter team. And he's like, would you do a Zoom one-on-one with them? They really related to your epic. I really don't feel like calling Dr. G. I think you would relate, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, Mike Nelson, I'll do this for you. So, they were like, out of their mouth when I'm asking for the sale, I'm going through the motions, right? They're like, so it's 20 grand to coach, to have you coach us. Like, that's the conclusion, right? And if you had never done a deal or you've done one deal or anything, you're not going to get that same thing, right? They're not going to sit there and contemplate spending $20,000 to have you coach them. So there's no question that people in general, when they get started with Renatus, they're looking, right, and they hear somebody like a Dane Clark, and I'm just using these names. Many of you have done multiple deals. I don't know all your deal stories, but I'm talking to the masses in Renatus when it comes to getting started and not having the experience that you want yet and feel like you need. And so, okay, let's move forward. You guys get what I'm saying. So people have that. Prospects have that. They're like, I want hands-on coaching. I want to work with the best, whatever it is. And I get it. That's a natural thing. And so for me, it's easier for me to say, yeah, one of the things you get is the community. You get a guy like me. You get. I'm going to share my experiences. I'm available to you most of the time, as much as I can possibly be. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get back to you, but you know, you guys get the point. But here's what I can teach you. Here's what I can share with you is, in my opinion, Frank, you said this, I'm running low on leads. All right. There is no question that you can relook at your leads. You can relook at your warm market. My guess is that, I don't know, 99% of us, if there's 100 people on this call, maybe there's 3 people on the call that have literally made their list and ultimately either gotten through a list of 25 or 50 people with their 5-star or themselves, right? Or maybe you did it along, I doubt it. I doubt there's that many people that have gotten through their entire list. Like, you literally went through your Facebook and your phone and created a 200 name personal list of people. Like I don't have a doctor, right? So I can't put doctor on my list. Like, if I go to Memory Jogger and I go doctor, there's not a doctor I could call. Now, if I went to physical therapist, I could call Jeff Barron. I've hit Jeff up. I've talked to him about this. I've invited him. I don't know if, I can't even remember if he's seen it. But if I was going to do my freaking list again, Jeff would be on my list and I would re-hit him up. In fact, I'm going to re-hit him up, right? And he runs a fantastically successful business. He's the best PT. He prevents people from ever having back surgery. Unbelievable, this doctor. And so when I started, there were 12 people that I invited to Renatus. I made a list, it might have been 20. And you've heard this before, but one of them is still a friend of mine today. And she paid for the education. She was a roll-up sale to my mentor. She paid for the education based on the fact that she wanted to get out of her job, but she was so busy as a farm rep, making a ton of money, and this even during the crash, that she couldn't do it. But her husband was in construction management and was laid off multiple times during this crash. And she wanted it so badly for him that she was willing to pay for it. So my one-on-ones were with her. Now, the very first time I talked to her about this, I talked to her walking our dogs, and we met in the street. She lived across the street from me, and they became very, very close friends of ours. And then I took her to an Applebee's, of all places, and wrote out like the system and the idea and the concepts literally on a napkin, like literally on an unfolded napkin. I forgot to bring paper, I think. And then we went to a meeting. She brought her husband. Then we went to an intensive. She brought her husband. And then we did a follow-up and they got started, right? Simultaneously, I invited 3 girls from my title company that I had met at a title group, and I got to know them, and they were going to be my title people. They're still my title people today. They came to an intensive. I also invited the guy who taught me loans, right? So my point is work with your people that you know. I don't care if you met them, how long ago it's been. Most likely you talked to them a while ago, if you've already talked to them. And now things have changed for everyone in the world, in the United States. All of your friends and family, things have changed. I'm not saying, funny, I work at Applebee's. That's awesome, Bobby. Suji, I admit I made the list, although I have not gone through all that list. I tend to stick to the top 25. I'm telling you, I don't know why. And I know why, but I mean, we gotta, if we're running low on leads and you want a Zoom 2.0 and you don't want to go alone and you just don't want to do it again. Like, I don't want to do it again. I don't want to go through Zoom for the next 2 months and fall off again, right? And have my team not, right? We want it. We're going to grow this thing. Like, it's not going to go, oh, okay, here's Zoom 2.0. All these things are happening. Everybody comes to the meeting. 3 weeks from now, it's a third of what it was, or two, it's only, 20% have dropped off. It's the opposite. It's like, wow, people are joining the team. There's more people coming. They're reaching out to old IACMs, and we're building this, right? So if you want to be a part of that and you want to make some money along the way, then make your list again, right? And here's the deal. During this time, so I enrolled this guy you guys heard the story, but this guy, literally, guys, I did this, and you can too. I did this with there was no mentor coming with me on a one-on-one, right? So this guy's name, oh my God, I just lost the space there in my head. Like, oh my God, he's living in Florida. He just got married. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm spacing his name. So Scott Walters. Scott trained me for 4 days as a loan officer. I'd never done loans before. And I remember, like, you guys, literally I sat in my booth, and for 3 hours on the first day, I didn't make a single call. And he's like, "What are you doing, you idiot?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm preparing. I'm reading the script, and I'm listening to all these yahoos around me trying to close, sales. I'm trying to pick up what they're putting down." And finally, I started making calls, and I had 5 deals in my first night, right? They didn't all close, but I had 5 deals on the board in my very first night because I listened and learned for the first 3 hours, right? After I went through my 2 days of orientation, crap training of loans, right? But I met Scott, and Scott and I became friends. He was my boss, and God, can you believe that? I had a boss. Like, it was weird. I mean, I was 1099, 100% commission, but it was weird. Much younger than me. And I invited him as the market was crashing, and he lost his job. Actually, the place we worked at, you guys, it had like its own title company. It had its own like appraisal company. And then they worked hand in hand with this title. Like, it was weird. They had 2 floors. They were based out of Michigan, Strategic Capital Mortgage. And as I'm like walking out the door, the FBI was coming in through the door, shutting them. Like 5 vice presidents went to jail. The place was just a disaster, right? And I had already left. I was kidding about walking out the door, but like, it was like 2 weeks after I quit, and I knew it was just a bad scenario, and I wouldn't have gone to jail because I didn't do anything, but all the higher ups, man, they were just breaking the law, and they all went to jail. But he lost his job. We kept in touch, and then I met him, and I invited him to an intensive. And I didn't get to meet with him. And literally, he was there, you guys, and he came for half an intensive. And he's like, "I got to go." And he goes to me, he goes, this is what he said. He goes, "Are you doing this?" And I go, "Well, I'm doing it." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I already paid." He's like, "You paid the 20 grand?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm going to read these comments in a second. And he goes, and I know you guys have heard this, but this is the thing is, it's important that you get it through your head and utilize this mindset. All I was doing was studying the education. I was an expert at short sales, and I hadn't closed a single short sale because I had watched the short sales like 3 times by that time, by the time he came. And so, like, he started asking about short sales, and he understood that the houses were underwater. And he goes, "Okay, if you're doing this and you pay the 20 grand, if you can answer some questions, I'm in. Meet me at my office on Monday." So I go to his office on Monday. This is my second pass-up sale. I didn't care that I was losing a great salesman, a great communicator, a guy who's made a ton of money in business and everything, a young go-getter, good-looking dude.
Where's your leash?
Good friend. And I didn't care that I was And Charlotte and I had to mute you. I'm not sure if you were coming off mute to say something, so you might have to hit *6 or text me in the chat if you want to come off.
Excuse me, brother. Sorry, my hand hit the unmute button. Sorry.
No problem. Okay, I wasn't sure if you wanted to communicate. All right. So you guys get it. Is I hadn't done a single deal. I wasn't doing anything. I was just understanding the education and working in the education. So what I'm getting at in this long, stupid story is that our mindset needs to change. And I'm not saying it needs to change, like, you don't think this way, but we got to attack it. We've got to go 2.0, new version of us, and we've got to go. I don't care about anything except for the fact that I'm learning. If maybe study the education for 2 reasons, right? Maybe restudy it. Maybe take a class that you've already taken and take it again. Why? Because you can become you could really understand it more. But take it for 2 reasons. One is you're going to implement it, right? You like it, you want to do it, you want to succeed at it. You want to actually do that type of class. But number 2, do it simultaneously 50% of the time, understanding that you're going to be able to communicate with somebody about this class, that this might be something that someone else would want to talk about. And you can bring this up. Like, like I was studying short sales and negotiations, and I was studying like bank, like we didn't have a bankruptcy class. I understood mortgages, so I didn't need to study that because I was a mortgage loan officer. But like I understand private money, right? And I was studying that class, and I was studying like fix and flip too. And so I could have these intelligent conversations about real estate with the folks that I was inviting without ever doing the deal. Like I would, and they were like, wow, you know, you actually, but I called them, selling them on the fact that, listen, would you want to do this? Like, are you interested in buying a short sale and flipping the thing for 20 grand? You know, would you want to do this kind of deal? Like in today's market, it might be wholesaling, lease option. It might just be fixing their credit. It could be anything that pertains to an up market like this, when deals are hard to find, and maybe it's a subject to deal, and maybe they want to buy their first residence. And so study those classes that have to do with that. Maybe you want your first residence or your first rental. You know, it might not be a bad idea for you to put out street signs that say, you know, little or no equity, I'll buy your house today regardless. Short wholesaler didn't buy it, I'll buy it. I don't know, because you know these people are getting turned down because they're not paying enough money for the house or something. I don't know, but that's a different story. But maybe you study your education for a purpose, and then you call someone for a purpose on what they want, asking questions on what they want to learn in real estate. And then you can invite them to see this. So I did the one-on-one. Like I went to his office, nervous as all get out, had to answer the questions. And the only reason I could answer, it had nothing to do with marketing. The only reason I could answer the questions was that I studied the education. Like I understood Renatus. I understood the system. I understood the resources. I understood how to use them and the classes and how we did it live and all that stuff. And I could, because I was in the trenches, but it wasn't like, how much have you made? How many deals have you done? Has it worked for you? It was like, are you doing this? And did you pay the 20 grand? So that was validation enough for him. Okay, let me check real quick. Of course, this would be best for leads who answer their phone. Fuck, I don't know what to say to that, man. Oh my God. It is the main issue I have. I'm capable of bringing in people to the webinars, my PAC team's 30/30 office, or even my 5 Stars office in Chicago. But the only interested leads who answer their phones will be the ideal candidate for. How do you know that, Frank? How do you know there's no ideal candidate for any community? Like no, there isn't one. The people across the country, there's 30,000 people that have gotten started with Renatus that I know, plus or minus, I don't know the number, over since day one.
Can I say something? Is everybody a lead?
Yep.
So you think anybody you talk to?
Come on, you guys.
I'm like, I guess
That's what the 3-foot rule is for. For anybody that's within 3 feet or now 6 feet, anyone within 6 feet of you, everybody needs Renatus. They might not be ready for it, or they might not be exactly in the position or wanting to do the work to do it, but everybody needs it.
Well, I understand that. I guess my point is because of the 6
And no means not right now.
Hold on, Pete. Hold on. Go ahead, Sue.
How do you talk to those people that, you know, the 6-foot rule now? How do you talk to those people?
Okay. So, Pete, go ahead. Did you have something real quick, Pete?
And they say, no, it just means not right now. Talk to them next time you see them. But I always go off what we're doing at the moment and to build rapport. If I'm at an auto parts store, I talk to the manager about how good a job he's doing running the store. And at a gas station, I talk about how cool the guy's car is. That's what I use for a 3-foot rule.
Yeah. May I say something really quick, Bill?
Yeah.
To piggyback off of what Pete just said. So
yeah.
Pete, check it. The way that you do that, I do the same thing, because my intention whenever I do a 3-foot rule is not, oh, that's a lead for Renatus. Woo! No. My intention is to truly create a friend, because a stranger is just a friend that I have not met yet. And if, hey, look, we know, and if you hold those core beliefs to your heart, then why wouldn't I help my friend? That's my outlook on it.
Okay.
I agree with you, Charlene. Thank you.
And the ultimate example is Bob Snyder. See, that guy loves everybody.
This is a first. This is a first. It's Frank here speaking. So yeah, I agree with all you guys, and thanks for the advice.
Okay.
Yep,
Oh, I'm sorry.
absolutely.
Go I
No,
just had
you're
one-
awesome. You're awesome, Frank. I mean, Frank, honestly, you're just being honest. Like your frustrations and your points are just real. So go ahead, Sue. What were you saying?
Okay, I just want to say last month I went on a hike and I met this woman while I was hiking and we became, you know, kind of good friends. How do I say this? I got her information. We talked about going hiking together. I just happened to meet her on this hiking trail. And so now, you know, I tried to meet up with her again and she was very short with me about meeting up and hiking. So I still have her number, but I mean, I don't know how to follow up with that kind of stuff. That's my stop, I guess, or my big wall that I can't get over. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. Okay, guys, listen up. This is fantastic. You guys open up and just speak your mind. I love it. So here's the thing. What I'm hearing from many people, and there's no wrong way. Charlene, Pete, everybody. Remember, when you're talking to people, I know that we naturally have Renatus in our mind. So anytime we meet somebody, you know, unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know, we're thinking Renatus. Like it's maybe sometime this person would do Renatus, but you know, accidentally you meet some kids, you know, one of your kids' teachers or something, and maybe it doesn't ever cross your mind. You're just going to become friends. But so here's the deal. Number one is if when you meet somebody and you're thinking of Renatus at all, and I know you just said, Charlene, that you're not, but I mean, what I mean is like you want to become their friend. The way that it's done, like all right, the 6 foot rule, it's weird, okay? Unless you strike up a conversation and you just happen to have something in common with that person, and maybe the only way you'll know is if you ask them questions or you talk about something and you have this connection, right? Then if you're doing it on purpose to get the only thing you ever, in my opinion, you ever want to do in a 6 foot rule is just get somebody's information. And for however you do that, you're not giving them a drop card. You're literally gathering that, hey, you know, let me get your card. I'd love to talk to you about what you do because you had something in common, right? But in 3 foot rule, it's got to be some really crazy connection. I am not going to call some stranger and be like, listen, I was thinking about you. You need Renatus, right? The second thing is, so let me follow me on this. If we are not asking if they're interested, if we are not asking questions, if we are telling them, hey, you know, Pete, you said this, like when you're at the gas station or the service station, you're talking to the guy and you're like, hey, the good way to run the business. And we want to let people know what we know. That is not, in my opinion, that's in my experience, that is not a way that I'm gonna create a lead. Okay. I'm gonna create a lead. So I believe that everybody needs Renatus. I believe that everybody, there's no question that at some level, in 5 classes or less, even more, that people could use Renatus, and whether they flip a house ever in their life or even buy a rental, there's enough education and opportunity in Renatus that they'll make their 20 grand back in some sort of structure, some sort of tax strategy, some sort of velocity banking strategy, some sort of strategy of some kind. Over time, their 20 grand will come back and they will double their money without ever even flipping a house. I know it. I know there's way better ways in Renatus to make money than just flipping a house. Now, most people are not going to do it. If they did, we wouldn't even have this meeting. Okay? If everybody did it, there's going to be a 99 percenters the rest of our lives. If we can get it down to 95, great. That's Bob's dream, right? But in the meantime, one of the things, Sue, that we have to do is we cannot judge. We cannot prejudge. We cannot assume there's a perfect person for this. We cannot assume that we know anything about. Now, I'll give you an example. I go out, right out there, my trash is in the alley. I live on these big alleys. I got separation from other houses, and I bring my trash and recycle out there. And yesterday I go out there and there's a guy who's probably homeless, and he's walking through the alley and startled me a little bit. It's like had a couple empty water bottles and asked me for some water. And it was funny because I was on the phone talking to Keely about the guy I was going to go see. That's her lead. And I was like, what do you want me to do? And so I'm on the phone bringing out my trash and recycle. And this guy's out there and she's like, oh, you should prospect me. She's joking. And I'm not going to prospect this guy. Like, I'm flat out, I'm not going to prospect him. He's walking through an alley with a backpack in the middle of the heat, 110 degrees out, asking me for water. Not going to prospect him. Does he need Renatus? Probably. Is he ever going to join Renatus? I have no idea. Hopefully he gets his life together, or maybe that's what he likes his life to be. Not going to be a prospect for me, okay? I don't want him on my team. I'm not interested in converting that particular person. But I can't prejudge him. I can't at all say that he wouldn't do it, right? And maybe by me not asking, I lost an opportunity. I don't know. But I'm not going to go, wow, dude, you should think about getting into real estate. Or have you ever thought about having a business? No way. You know what I'd have to do? I'd have to sit down right there and have a conversation with him and start saying, dude, how did you get here? Right? What's going on in your life? Do you have a place? Or are you out homeless? You know, I'd start talking to him, figuring out stuff. And over time, I gather his information. Most likely he doesn't have a phone, right? So he can't even do the business, right? But my point is like, if that's a person out there that truly was someone you were going to prospect, I would sit down and if I just met them and literally the person, I go get somebody, whatever it is, I'm changing a tire for somebody or I'm waiting for my car the tires to be rotated at Jiffy Lube or whatever the frickin' place I'm at. And I'm talking to somebody and we strike up a conversation and I'm just like, hey, what do you do? You know, blah, blah, blah. Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. All these things, right? And if I got an intention of talking Renatus, right, I'm going to ask particular questions on how did you get where you're at? Whatever, like literally, but never, and you guys know this, I'm not going to bring up Renatus, but I may, if I like the guy or girl, if I'm interested, I'm like, I think this person, you know, I wouldn't mind working with this person, or I think this person would be great. You know, then I would ask for their information. You know what I most of the time do? I end the conversation. One of us has to go or get on the phone, or we stop talking, and that's it. Why? Because I don't want to spend the time to gather their information, give them a call, break the ice, and ask them about their questions and see if they're ever interested in real estate, right? But with Warm Market, with your list, you know the people. You can call them up. You don't need to break that ice. You don't need to develop the relationship. I can't imagine that you're going to call somebody in 3-foot rule or meet them in 6-foot rule in Starbucks or whatever it is and have a conversation and go like, oh my God, I'll call you when I get home. We'll talk about you going to a meeting. You know what I mean? It's 1 in a million. Now, let me give you an example of a 3-foot rule. I get a call from, I'm at my Campbell flip, and I get a cold call from a buddy of mine now. He's a friend of mine now, Steve. And he's calling, he's a new agent, working for a company, and they called off an expired listing of a year ago. And it might have been, like at the time, it might have been 9 months, I don't know. And I was going to sell this property just to see if I could sell it. I put it at height of the market. It needed work, and it didn't sell for what I wanted it to. And I wasn't that concerned. So I turned it from a regular rental into an Airbnb, right? That was my next solution. If I don't get the top dollar price that I want, I wanted 350 or 60,000 for this house, and the biggest comp was like 330. If I don't get it, then I'm gonna do it. So I talked to Steve, and literally I got guys in their house, and I'm there walking, and I take this call, and it just like I just heard it in his voice, and I was just like, you know what? I started talking to him I'm like, dude, that thing's an Airbnb. He's like, really? And he asked me a question. He was interested. Wow, I love to do Airbnb. So now the light bulb came on. There was an interest, right? If Steve had just been, oh, great, thanks a lot, I appreciate you, see you later, you know, good luck with that, whatever. Hangs up the phone, and, you know, but Steve was interested. Steve was like, wow, man. And he had enthusiasm. And he was like, man, I've always wanted to do that. How, you know, and he didn't say, how did you do it? I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah, you should see. And I started explaining. And he's like, wanted to know a little bit more. And it was an instant connection. But we were on the phone for 15 minutes probably before I finally said, you know what, to be honest with you, I got an opportunity for you to come to a meeting, or I didn't even call it a meeting. I might have said it, you know, I teach people a little bit about this, whatever I said, I'm like, I present, and then this phone call in 25 or 30 minutes turned into an invite, and he actually came down to the meeting, and he enrolled. He went to nationals. He's on my team. Him and his partner are working on the real estate and the marketing, and he's a friend of mine, and it worked out, right? Because he has an interest. So So let's go back to this. This is so awesome. I'm going to double check. So Sue, privately, you sent, so, okay. 5-star suggestion, I work cold market. So here's what I suggest. You work cold market, you work warm market, you work 2 or 3 different lead sources. Cold market is going to enable you to make mistakes, learning curve, ask for the sale multiple times, trip over yourself, speak too much, throw up all the information, not ask questions, but tell people instead of sell people. You're going to learn all that in cold market. You can hit up your warm market with genuineness, with really, asking people what they want. So she says, I'm not, I can't, that's private. Okay. So here's what we're talking about, you guys, on this 3-foot rule and the way, and working with people that are interested. My opinion is there's no way we can judge, right? I met up with Ryan. I'm trying to think of the people that I enrolled this year, right? I told you about Tyler last week, took 3 meetings, boom, the guy's in. Right now, yesterday paid off his billing. So he went billing for the 21 days, light up all his money, paid off billing. So he literally used that system. He went in at billing and paid it off in full. And now is a full cash combo holder, right? And he was a warm market 3-foot rule, if you will, for one of my students at work. And he's super excited about it. Like he was after it. I met this guy, Ryan. I've known Ryan for a long time, and I hadn't talked to him in years. And for some reason, he was outside my house working on a house down the street. And we hit it off, and we started talking. I started asking questions, and he was interested. So Ryan and I were warm market, but I hadn't reached out to him, but we connected and we started talking about things. Now it took, 6 months for Ryan and his wife to get started with us. Over the course of 3 months at the end of the year and 3 months this year, whatever it was. Maybe it was 4 months last year, and we even went like 30 or so days without talking about it. And and we reconnected. And he was at a place in his life when he was raw. He was ready. He was definitely able, like he could physically pull the trigger, and he was willing. Had to go through the system, had to go to a couple of events, had to talk to his wife. We had to connect together. We had to answer some objections. And when it all made sense, we got connected and he got started, right? And so the point is that at no point did I ever think he's perfect for this, or he wouldn't do it again, right? Or he wouldn't spend more money on education. It wasn't about that. Like we have to just talk to people regardless. We cannot have a prejudgment on who's perfect, who can, who will, who won't. We have no idea what people are capable of. We just don't, right? All we can do is get them in front of the information. We can't get them in front of the information. Now, it's very crucial. This is important. When we speak to people, I don't care if they're warm market, cold market, if you've talked to them before, make your list. Here's the thing. If you're using a 5-star or whoever you guys want to use, when we talk to people, it's important that we have to ask an incredible amount of questions. Now, Charlene and Pete said this perfectly. They want to create a friend. So there's nothing wrong with creating a friend in a short period of time on purpose, right? Now, you all know we're not calling up our sister or mother or brother and going, hey, how's it going? How's the kids? Oh, by the way, let me ask you, have you ever thought about real estate? We know that. If you're calling warm market or someone you've talked to, you're going to set the stage. Listen, I need 10 or 15 minutes of your time. I got something I want to talk to you about, right? If you're calling up warm market you haven't talked to in a while, and it's someone from high school off Facebook or whatever it is, and you literally message them, okay? And you could do this once a day. Then what I'm talking about with Charlene and Pete and even Sue and Frank are talking about here is that getting to know somebody. And what that means is you're asking questions about so what's going on? What is it you're looking for? What are you doing? Like, tell me about what have you been up to? What's going on? So let me give you a perfect example of this. Rick Walter, I couldn't even picture him in my head. And count on this, I would bet Well, I don't know what I would bet. I would just make a gentleman's bet that he's going to be on our team in the next 30 to 60 days. I went to high school with Rick, and we weren't even that close. We did not run in the same circle of friends, but I went to a small high school. But I knew Rick well. And it's funny because he messaged me off his wife's Facebook. So I'm guessing he doesn't have a Facebook. And I thought it was his wife. And I was like, I recognize it. I'm like, I had to look up where they live. And they live in Wisconsin. But he went to Holland. I was like, oh man, Rick Walter, right? So he messaged me in May. He's like, hey, I want to see what you're doing. I'm like, great. I'm going to call you back. You know, let me know your number, blah, 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 blah. I don't use Messenger much. I missed it. I never followed up with him. He follows up with me the other day on Facebook. He's like, Bill, I want to get back in touch with you. I've been following what you're doing. This is so awesome. You know, I've been working on some stuff I want to talk. I'm like, gosh. And I look at my messages. I'm like, oh my God, I never followed back up with this guy. And he literally reached out to me about real estate. So
Hey, Bill?
I get a hold of him. Hold on, Mark, real quick. And I get a hold of him yesterday. And he's calling me because he went and got his broker's license as a lender, got his lending license, right? He's plugged himself into a hard money national lender, which he called a private money source. So it's kind of because they claim they're private money. They do great rates. They do this hybrid loan stuff. And he's like, you know, this is going to be perfect. I got all the cash you need for your flips. You know, I want you to go to my website. I got all these things lined up. So I'm talking to him. And he's pitching me on this. So I pull up his website and all the stuff. He's like, I made a business Facebook page. He's like, I'm ready to go. I want to get into real estate. I want to take care of my financial. So when he got done with all this and I did all this stuff, you guys, I asked him then, I'm like, listen, Rick, I go, you've seen what I do. I'm like, are you just interested in doing this lending thing? I said, are you interested? He's like, eventually I'm going to do a flip. I'm like, do you want to learn some of the things I know? Like, do you want to do some of the things I'm doing and create some financial, you know, wealth through real estate, owning rentals and stuff like that? He's like, Bill, and he started through it a little bit. He goes, any information you can give me, I'll go to your meeting. I want to learn. He's like, all I want to do is learn what you know. And I'm learning from other guys. I've plugged into this system with these other guys on lending. I want to do real estate. So after all that, I started asking him, what is he doing? What do you want to do? How does this interest you at all? Like if he said, you know what, I'm focused on this, that's it. But he's like, no, so today I'm going to send him a couple videos. I'm going to book him to Thursday night, right? I kind of knew that he was interested in this, but you guys get my point is like you've got to learn about them. And then we ask them questions. We don't say, I got this is what you need. This is what I have. This is what I need. This is what I'm doing. Those are all telling. I don't want to tell anybody anything. I want to ask everybody everything. Does that make sense? Let me see if I made sure. It's 11:05, so we got to go. All right. This is awesome. Man, I hope I answered your questions. All right. If I could finish with anything, you guys, the point to this is, I don't care whatever your limiting beliefs you have on your ability to do deals, not do deals, done deals. If you want to market this education, if you want to make money selling the education, bringing people, developing your team, and complement your real estate, then absolutely drop anybody and everybody as a prospect, right? Until you talk to them. But when we talk to them, we don't talk, we ask, right? And we write out our list, and all the number one thing that will benefit you in selling the education, in introducing people and having a conversation of having is gaining knowledge through watching the classes. Not once, not twice, not at the gym, not in the car, but sit down an hour a day, 2 hours a day, half hour a day, and watch the class and learn, take notes, and study it and understand it. I don't care if you implement it. You're also going to try to implement it. You're going to eventually implement it. You're going to work with your coaches and your 5 stars in the coaching call, and you will implement it. But you can make money much faster, and you can start creating your real estate team by inviting people into this business if you are the expert. And you can become a plagiaristic expert by studying the education. And people will understand that, and they will view that and see that, and they will feel it. And it will be easier for you to answer one question and ask 4. All right, you need to contact your warm market so they may be mad at you having success without them. Totally. Thanks, Bill. You're welcome, D. James. You're welcome, Sue. You did in spades. Have a great, cool. S3.
Hey, Bill, when is your next property tour?
Oh, So I don't have it set up for this Saturday. So that's a good point. What is this Saturday? I have a June calendar up.
I think it's 18.
Last Saturday was the 11th, right? So it's the 18th. I'll do it on the 25th. I'll put up a tour. I'm going to do a tour on the 25th. Do we have anything on the 20th? No, we don't have anything on the 25th. Normally that's an intensive, but we've got the national intensive, the corporate intensive on the first weekend. So I'll do a property tour. It'll be on the Arizona calendar by, I don't know. I'll put it up there. I don't know the address yet. I'll put it up there today. I'll get corporate to approve it today or tomorrow. It'll be on the calendar. It'll be the 25th at 10 a.m. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll do a property tour. It'll be at my it'll be at my big construction house. You guys, there's like, I don't even know. I don't want to jinx it. There's like $200,000 to $500,000 of profit in this house. Or I've got my one right up the road that's got like 50 grand, 60 grand profit in it, right up the road at $800,000 deal I'm doing. So I'll be live in the house. Okay. All right. Awesome. That'll be on the calendar. Great question, Mark. Anybody else? Thoughts, comments, questions before we wrap up? Bobby Johnson, love you. Pete Smalley, love you. Michael and I had a come back after 5 years, but Michael was able to show her she was the third person you called. This is awesome.
Hey, can I come out real quick?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Aurora, go ahead.
Hi. I just wanted to share what happened to me this morning. So I run a cleaning company, and I have my niece who has her summer job with me, and we're at Wawa, and this lady compliments my hair. I have purple that's fading out of my hair. And she's like, wow, that's really awesome. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, when I was younger, I used to do that. And I'm like, well, yeah, now that I have a business, after so long being in corporate, not being able to do what I wanted with my hair, now that I have a business that I can do whatever I want, I do everything. So I'm about to put my purple again. And she asked me, what I do. I thought I have a cleaning company that I run, and I also invest in real estate. And she got really interested. She was like, wow, that's awesome. And you're getting into it while you're young. If I had known about that when I was young, it would have been awesome. I was like, what I find even better is what I'm learning about taxes. So I'm about to go and, go back 3 years and see what my return will be. I'm hearing people having $20,000 returns, $100,000 returns, just because things were filed incorrectly. And she was on fire. So got her information, and now I have an additional person at Mount Cola. But that was just a totally random person that I met at the Wawa.
No, that's great. So you did a couple things I love. A, you gathered her information, or actually that's B. And then number one was, everybody heard this, just Dane Clark all the way, right? You said also, and I invest in real estate. And invest in real estate, 2.9 people out of 3 are interested in investing in real estate in some way. And
yeah, actually, I did get that directly from Dane Clark. He had given me a prescription a couple of weeks ago, and that was my one-a-day vitamin that I had to do. Tell at least one person about investing in real estate.
No, perfect. Great job. Great story. Thank you for sharing. That's fantastic. You guys, you got my number. I'll put it back in there. 760-533-3141.
Hey, Bill, I had another question.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
During your property tour, do you qualify people to buy your house? Do you have them offer you money if they want to be end users or something like that?
I'm not following you. Say it's like a buyer, like an end buyer?
Yeah, an end buyer. Are there end buyers that you make available to purchase your house in your property tour?
I don't think so. So like the property tour is from like the beginning to the end. And then when it's on the market, sometimes I'll do a tour. I'll definitely do a tour when it's on the market, like listed, but then, it's clean. So we've got a bunch of people in there. But definitely I do a tour if it's under contract, because I can really pin down the profit then, because I know what it's going to sell for most likely. And, but I don't usually have any buyers at the tour. I mean, I have neighbors and stuff sometimes, but no buyers. I don't qualify any buyers. My agents will help qualify buyers, because I sell everything through my agent partners, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So when the agents, when they're selling the house, is that another property tour, or is just that like a private kind of a thing?
So, okay, so I kind of get what you're saying. So yeah, all of that's done separately. Like these aren't open houses or anything. These property tours are, the idea is that one of the things is you guys can learn as investors, as you guys know, you can learn stuff at the property tours, but it is a guest event. So the idea is to introduce people to that you're working with, that you want to enroll in the education, or that are interested in investing in real estate, and then they can come see how the education in the community actually benefits them and could enable them to do a deal like this. But but at those tours, there's the intricate details of selling the house and qualifying and getting a buyer and things like that. Like if anybody has a question about, hey, how did you get your buyer, or how does the process work when you're selling the house, then I'll go over that. Like I'll talk about that. Like I'll talk about how I funded it, or if anybody has any question about anything, why did you put that color paint on there? Why would you do that? Why didn't you do this? Where did you decide to do this, or anything like that? We'll go over all that stuff. So if there's things that you want to learn about the actual process that you're not a part of, that I don't film, or not, it's not like an everyday filming like a reality show, then we just ask those questions and answer them at the tour, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. Does that answer your question, kind of?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, because I was just thinking in my mind, somebody, if you had a realtor there, and then maybe you sort of like mixed it up and had a property tour with the realtors there or something like that.
So here's what we do. Sometimes when the property's done and it's on the market, we will hold a property tour and put up signs, and we will have, we've even had a party there with a little bit of live. This guy one of my guys on my team, Lee Morris, he's usually on these calls. He may be on this call today. He's a entertainer by trade, 25 years. And I haven't personally done this at my tours yet, but they've done it at some of their own tours, their own property heads, and they've done it at Keogh's. It's one of Lee's partners, my partners. She's had some properties with this guy Cole, and they've sold one or two houses kind of, but the buyer actually came from this party that we had at the house on a Friday night or Saturday night, where we had entertainment, we had some wine, and it was kind of an open house. So that type of thing. But the neighbors have come to my open house, my property tours, but not to buy it, just to see it and walk through it and listen to it.
Got it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
All right, you guys, 8:15. Wow, we went over. I appreciate everybody being here. It's fantastic. We're down to 57. Love you guys. You're awesome. You got my number, 760-533-3141.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Bill, you're awesome, dude. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you, Hilda. You're awesome, beautiful girl.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bill, from Frank, Chicago. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. You're welcome, Frank. Thank you for being open, you guys, and just coming out and talking. These things are good stuff, because